viewers, today we will be discussing on the topic bacterial conjugation. Bacterial conjugation is basically one of the three different mechanisms by which gene transfer takes place in bacteria. So let's have a look on the three methods. Number one is bacterial transformation, whereas any foreign DNA or naked DNA gets inside the bacterial cell. The second method of gene transfer is bacterial transduction, which is mediated by bacteriophages. Bacteriophages infect the bacterial cell, and in the course of their exit from the bacterial cell, they package some of the bacterial genes and transfer them to new set of bacteria. And the third one is the bacterial conjugation, which is topic of today's discussion, wherein it comprises of two different types of bacteria. One is called as the donor bacteria. It contains a plasmid called Mpf plasmid, where F stands for fertility, and a recipient bacteria which is devoid of that plasmid. Here the gene transfer, that is the transfer of the Mpf plasmid, takes place from the donor bacteria to the recipient bacteria if and only if the cell-to-cell contact is made. So this concept that cell-to-cell contact is an essential prerequisite to carry on the conjugation process was first established by two eminent scientists, Joshua Lederberg and Edward Tatum, in the year 1946. So they were working on different strains of E. coli. It means the strains which were incapable of synthesizing certain amino acids. Such strains are called auxotrophs. And there are another class of bacterial strains which can synthesize all their essential amino acids and hence can grow in minimal media, are called prototrophs. So they started working with two different types of auxotrophs. One was methionine minus, biotin minus, threonine plus, leucine plus and thymine plus. On the other hand, the second one was methionine plus, biotin plus, threonine minus, leucine minus and thymine minus. When these two strains were independently plated on minimal media, they couldn't get any colonies, as it should be, because in minimal media only wild type prototrophs can grow. On the other hand, when they mixed these two bacterial strains together and tried to plate them on minimal media, they could get bacterial colonies. Therefrom, they could draw the inference that obviously some sort of genetic exchange is occurring between these two bacteria that is responsible for converting the auxotrophs into a prototrophs. But as usual, scientific community was not ready to accept this observation or not ready to accept this phenomena. Finally, there came the YouTube experiment, which was performed by Bernard Davis. What he did, that he took these two different auxotrophs in between the two arms of a U-tube, and in between he placed a filter. And the pore size of the filter was made so that it allowed the transfer of macromolecules or the DNA, but transfer or exchange of bacteria from one arm of the tube to the other arm was restricted. And what he did, he allowed pressure so that the exchange of media could take place. But when he continued the experiment and tried to plate the media or the cultures obtained from the different arms onto minimal media, he couldn't get any colonies. That again proved that mere transfer of media is not capable of converting a bacteria from a auxotroph to the prototroph. It means he denied the concept of transformation. So, other than transformation, some different type of genetic exchange mechanisms were taking place. Then what he did, when the pore size of the filter was made so that it allowed the movement of the bacteria, then he could see that he was successful in generating prototrophs from the auxotrophs. It means he further proved that cell-to-cell contact is an essential prerequisite to carry on the method that was named as bacterial conjugation. As I have said that during conjugation, we need two different types of cell. One is called as the donor bacteria, which bears a plasmid called Mpf plasmid and hence is called as a Mpf plus cell. And second one is called as the recipient bacteria, which is devoid of the Mpf plasmid and hence is called as an Mpf minus cell. And what happens after conjugation, that we will see that the Mpf plasmid get transferred from the donor bacteria to the recipient bacteria. and the recipient bacteria is called as a transconjugant. So the plasmid which are occurring naturally have got the natural tendency to transfer themselves onto the recipient bacteria. Such plasmids are called self-transmissible plasmids. There exists another class of plasmids called mobilizable plasmids, which themselves cannot be transferred from donor bacteria to the recipient bacteria. They need the help of self-transmissible plasmids to be transferred from the donor bacteria to the recipient bacteria. Let's have a look on the transfer mechanism of the plasmid from donor cell to the recipient cell. So the transfer is basically carried on by a class of genes called TRA genes. TRA stands for transfer. These TRA genes can again be divided into two different components. One is called as the DTR component, where DTR stands for DNA transfer, and the genes which are responsible for the replication and conjugation of the plasmids. And the second one is called as the Mpf component or mating pair formation genes.
Ma'am, what are the functions of DTR and Mpf components?
DTR and Mpf components play a vital role during the conjugation process. So, in all, this DTR can be divided into different components like we have got the Pilus, right? The Pilus comprises of tube-like structures which are of 10 nanometer in size, and it is constructed of a polymer of protein called pilin proteins. These pilin proteins are basically synthesized with a long signal peptide sequences which are removed during the transfer of this pilus from the cytoplasm to the membranes. The pilin protein is cyclized and its head is attached to its tail, which is an unusual thing. The structure of the pilus is observed to vary widely among the different transfer systems. So here you can see that this pilus is being synthesized as a propylene component, and this propylene component has got a leader peptide which is in the N-terminal region, and this leader peptide is being chopped up by a LEP-B peptidase that chops up the signal during the transfer of the plasmid through the inner membrane, and later on these pilin proteins are assembled together to form a pilin complex. Let's have a look into the various genes which are responsible for the transfer process. Herein there are endless genes, but I would like to name a few. For example, ORIT is the site where from the transfer process initiates. Next we have got ORIV. It is supposed to be the origin of bidirectional replication. Then we have got the TRA-J FIN-OP genes. So TRA-J is very much important as it is a transcriptional regulator or activator of the TRA operon, which comprises of DTR and Mpf genes. Next we have got an important gene called TRA-ST, which codes for entry exclusion. Means these genes are responsible for preventing the entry of a plasmid which is already present within a bacterial cell. So bacteria will make it sure that once it has received an F plasmid, it won't receive any other copy of F plasmid. Next, I would like to talk on the assemblage of the Pilus protein, that how at all the assembly takes place. So the Pilus is comprising of a monomer of TRA-A gene. This TRA-A gene is brought onto the site of Pilus assembly taking help of the genes TRA-Q and acetylated TRA-X. Then we have got the site which is supposed to be the Pilus formation site is called as the Tra-C. So this site is being allotted first, and then we see that the Pilus is formed and it passes through a channel which is formed of the protein components called Tra-B and Tra-K. And we have got another secretin-like molecule called Tra-V which stabilizes this channel through which the Pilus can be transferred onto the outer membrane of the cell. Then we have got protein components like Tra-N and G which stabilizes the localization of the channel Tra-B and Tra-K. Then another component we have got this relaxosome which comprises of various factors like integration host factor, Tra-I, Tra-M and Tra-Y. Next important thing is that initially the Pilus is being formed, and this Pilus helps in bringing the recipient bacteria in the close proximity to the donor bacteria. And what happens then? Then the Pilus retracts and a channel is formed that helps in transfer of the DNA from donor bacteria to the recipient bacteria. So in addition to a Pilus, the Mpf system encodes a channel or pore through which the DNA passes during conjugation. Then we have got another part called coupling proteins. The communication between the DTR and the Mpf is provided by a protein called coupling proteins. So coupling protein is again a part of Mpf locus. So the components of Mpf locus basically comprises of number 1 Pilus, number 2 the channel proteins, and number 3 the coupling proteins that actually convey the message to the DTR component that a Pilus has been formed, a channel has been formed, and the situation or the platform is just ready for the transfer of DNA from the donor bacteria to the recipient bacteria. So these are all the jobs which are being performed by the Mpf system. The DTR component of a self-transmissible plasmid is involved in preparing the DNA for transfer process. It is coded by gene I in case of F plasmid. So if you look into the steps of how the entire process takes place, here you can see that the donor bacteria contains the F plasmid with a ORI-T site. Next step is the involvement of Mpf components leading to the formation of Pilus, generation of this channel proteins, and the involvement of coupling proteins. These coupling proteins will convey the message to the relaxosome complex, which is residing onto the ORI-T site, followed by the action of the relaxase enzyme that creates a nick onto the ORI-T site. This creation of nick actually generates a free 3' OH, as you can see here, and this tyrosine residue of the relaxase is responsible for attachment to the 5' end. Sometimes we have seen that this relaxosome complex has got an helicase activity which is responsible for unwinding of the DNA during the transfer process, and this leads to the transfer of the DNA from donor bacteria to the recipient bacteria and followed by simultaneous replication of the DNA in the rolling circle mode of replication within the donor bacteria. After that, we will see that when there is complete transfer of DNA, we will see that the DNA again recircularizes, and then the primase molecules will come into action within the recipient bacteria to convert it into a double-stranded circular DNA. So the net outcome of a F plus cross F minus mating or a conjugation event between a F plus cell, donor cell, and a F minus recipient cell is that both of them are now becoming F plus, and the newly generated recipient bacteria is called as a transconjugant. So you can see here in details the mode of action of relaxase, wherein the OH group of the tyrosine is attacking and creating the nick, and this tyrosine is acting as a pilot to bring in the DNA from the donor cell to the recipient cell, and finally the relaxase is released during the recircularization of the DNA inside the recipient.
So ma'am, do the self-transmissible plasmid always express the Tra genes all throughout their life cycle?
Yeah, this is supposed to be one of the most challenging things in front of any self-transmissible plasmid. Why? Because having a fertility plasmid and expressing a pilus means you are inviting male-specific phages. Male-specific phages means those bacteriophages that infect only bacteria that express the pilus. Because these male-specific phages are utilizing this pilus for the introduction of DNA inside the bacterial cells. So, if a bacteria expresses the pilus throughout its life cycle or expresses the Tra gene throughout its life cycle, then it will be susceptible to attack by male-specific bacteriophages. And we know that bacteriophages are enemies of bacteria. They are going to kill the bacteria. So, it will be a detrimental thing for a bacteria to express the Tra genes and hence the pilus throughout its life cycle. So, to get protection against this male-specific bacteriophages, they will express the pilus intermittently for a very short duration of time just after infection. Here you will see that there exists a very nice regulation to maintain the controlled expression of Tra genes. So, let's have a look into the Tra operon and its organization. Here you can see that Tra operon comprises of genes called Tra-J, where Tra-J is basically a transcription activator. What a transcription activator does, that it binds to the promoter called P-Tra-Y and carries on the transcription of Tra-Y and many other genes till Tra-X. So, the genes between Tra-Y and Tra-X are basically coding for DTR component and MPF component, which are responsible for the entire execution of conjugation process. So, if we can inactivate the Tra-J gene, then we can switch off the expression of this DTR and MPF components. So, here you can see that P-Tra-Y, that the promoter is constitutively synthesizing these genes. But there exists another promoter called P-Fin-P. Here we can see that this promoter is synthesizing an antisense mRNA called Fin-P. This antisense mRNA can hybridize with the mRNA that is synthesized from this P-Tra-J. Right? So, what it will do, that P-Tra-J mRNA which is getting synthesized will be prevented by the action of Fin-P protein. But the unfortunate thing is that this Fin-P mRNA and the Tra-J mRNA complex is not stable enough. So, initially what will happen, that when the bacteria receives the plasmid, there is expression of Tra-J. This Tra-J will switch on the expression of Tra-Y to Tra-X, and in the extreme end there exists a protein called Fin-O. This Fin-O is basically very important as because it stabilizes the complex between Tra-J mRNA and Fin-P mRNA. As you can see that when this Fin-P mRNA is synthesized and Fin-O protein is synthesized, this Fin-O protein will come and it will stabilize the complex between Tra-J and Fin-P mRNA. So, if Tra-J mRNA is blocked along with Fin-P, then it won't participate in translation and there will be no synthesis of Tra-J protein, which is supposed to be the transcriptional activator. If it is not synthesized, then Tra-Y and Tra-X genes are not getting synthesized. So, to control the synthesis of the Tra operon, what happens, that the transcription activator is prevented by an antisense mRNA called Fin-P. And this antisense mRNA can execute the inhibitory action if and only if Fin-O protein is synthesized. So, but Fin-O is lying in a downstream of Tra-X. It means at least one round of Tra genes will be expressed and conjugation event will take place. After that, Fin-O will come and it will prevent the further synthesis of Tra-J. So, this is how we can see that the Tra operons are regulated and the genes which are responsible for the conjugation process are synthesized only for a very feeble period of time, and this is just to get diversity in their genomes. On the other hand, they are restricting the simultaneous or throughout synthesis to prevent or to protect themselves against the infection by male specific bacteriophages.